Hello. Been studying on Sunday evenings through the book of John. We just started this last week, and one of the things that we were looking at, who is Jesus? And I just want to share some thoughts from that. So maybe in John chapter 1, just to remind you, it's a passage you're probably familiar with. There's a lot of descriptions of Jesus, and so I just wanted to share those with you. First of all, we're told that he is the Word. This is how John decides that he should start his opening verse to describe who Jesus is in this book of John. He says, "In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God." So John has made this decision that he wants us to understand that Jesus is the revealer of the Father, that he is the one who comes from the invisible God. He's been with him, and he's come into this visible world, and he is going to reveal this invisible God the Father to us. We're told later in the same chapter that no one has seen God, but God, the one and only, who is at the Father's side, he has made him known. So there's no one else qualified to communicate or reveal who God is. We're told in Timothy 6, 1 Timothy 6, that God the Father lives in unapproachable light and no one has seen him. Except here we're told that God, the one and only, was at the Father's side, or is at the Father's side. So he is uniquely qualified to tell us about who God is. In addition to that, the Word, it says here in the same verse, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So here we're told that this one that we're talking about in John chapter 1 is not only the Word, but he is God himself, that he was there with the Father in the beginning at the creation. Then it tells us that in the next verse, through him all things were made, and without him nothing was made that has been made. So very clearly we're seeing that all things that exist, whether it be a tree or a mountain or an ocean or a human or an animal or a galaxy, everything that is has come through the Son. Then we find out in the fourth verse, a fourth description of who this one is. John is just laying it on here quickly in the beginning. He says, in him was life. Now we each have life. We're living beings. We speak and we think and we interact with one another. But where did that life come from? Well, we know that came from our parents, they from their parents, and all the way back to, but eventually you have to come back to the one who is the source of life. And this one in John chapter 1, John says this one is, this Word, the one who is with God, the one who is God, the Creator. He is also life. True not only of humans, but true of oak trees. They come from their parent oak tree, who comes from their parent oak tree, but where does that life come from? And the same is true of giraffes. Where does the giraffe come? Well, it comes from its parent and so on. And you go back, it's true of any living thing. It has its source in this one. In him was life. And fifthly, we're told that he is light. There's a number of verses here in John chapter 1 that talk about him being the true light that gives light to every man coming into the world. So just like darkness that is in a place and then light shines in there and you can see, Jesus says that that's how he was. When he came into this world, he came into a dark world that had no understanding and no perspective, no realization of why they were here or what the purpose of their existence was or what their eternal existence might be. And he said that he is that true light that has come in to reveal these things to humanity and to this world. And then in chapter 1, verse 14, he tells us something that we, of course, are aware of, but it's an amazing thing when we realize that the Word and God and Creator and the one who is life and the one who is light, he became flesh and he made his dwelling among us. So he came and entered into this world as a baby, took on humanity, full humanity, and now he is here so that he can complete the mission for which he has been sent by God the Father. So that makes us ask the question, why did this one take on flesh? What was the mission that he was here to accomplish? And we read in the chapter 1, verses 11 through 13, the Gospel of John. He tells us why he came here to earth. And it tells us here, verse 9 or 11, he came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who received him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God, children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision, or of a father's husband's will, but born of God. So it tells us very specifically why this one came and took on flesh. It is so that we could be given the right to be children of God, so that we could be entered into his family. tells us he's not talking about a new physical birth. We've already experienced that, but he's talking about a spiritual birth, that we can become the children of God and to be born of God through receiving him and through believing on this one who has come and taken on flesh and come to this world. So the question is, who is Jesus? Well, very clearly in John chapter 1, we're told that he is the one and only. Verse 14 uses that phrase of him. Verse 18 uses that phrase of him. He's the only one that is qualified to offer us entrance into the family of God. Now, if we've received him and we have believed on him, that he is who he says he is, then we find out in 1 John chapter 3, verse 1, an amazing truth that should be a huge encouragement to us. And that is this: how great is the Father's love that he has lavished upon us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are! Exclamation point. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know him. Dear friends, now we are children of God, and what we will be has not yet been made known. But we know that when he appears, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. So he tells us very clearly the reason that this one came into the world, took on flesh, the mission, the task that he came to accomplish was to give entrance into the family of God, that we might experience his inheritance, part of the eternal family. And so I think that this should be a huge encouragement. How great is the love of the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are, so that we would always be filled with joy, always be filled with contentment, and always be motivated to live in a way with full dignity, understanding who we are, although others may not know that. We can serve with purity and honor and this great privilege that's been granted to us. So who is Jesus? He is the one who has come to give us access to the family of God and all the riches and the blessings that go with us. And he says, and that is what we are. So I trust that your heart is filled with joy at that truth, that you are comforted with this truth, and that you are proud to be a child of God, and that you are willing and wanting to serve him with all your strength, all your mind, and all your heart.